I always think it's funny because when I bring up land to people, they roll their eyes, not all the time, but sometimes like, well, land's kind of boring. And I'm always like, well, why? They're like, well, I can't put these cool before and after pictures on my Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes some of the stuff that's not exciting is the stuff that really makes you wealthy and gives you the options in life. And I think something that you've invested in that a lot of people overlook is land, which can really
Yeah.
provide a lot of freedom and excitement in your life. So I've heard you say that you believe land is the most overlooked wealth building asset in real estate. Talk a little bit about why.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And to the point of it being boring, one of the richest men in the world, Warren Buffett, says in business, you want boring.
Hmm.
You don't want excitement. Excitement in business means that something's going wrong and you have to pivot. You have to jump in. There's an emergency. There's a fire burning. You have to extinguish it. That's not what you want. It's you want boring in business. You want things that just happen like clockwork, like cookie cutter, and get your excitement from working out. Get your excitement from jumping out of airplanes or whatever you want to do. But have the business just like clockwork turn out money for you. That's the most beautiful thing you can build. So people look for excitement sometimes in the wrong places, and business is where you want to have as little excitement as possible and just like have proper systems in place. With that said, land is the most overlooked asset. So the other day I went to a Real Estate Investors Association meeting. There were 200 people. There were 3 people that are doing land. 2 of them were students of mine plus I, and 197 house flippers. So in other words, yet at the same time, there's 46 million pieces of land in the United States. And at any given time, our calculation is that about 5% of them don't want their land. So in other words, at any given time, there's like 2.3 million pieces of land that the owners just sit there. In many cases, they have inherited the property. They have owned it for 30, 40 years. They had plans for the property. They wanted to perhaps build something down the road. Perhaps it's a beautiful lot on a lake, half an hour outside of town. Perhaps it's an infill lot that they wanted to build a house down the road, or they wanted to have it for appreciation. Or perhaps it's a 40-acre ranch somewhere a couple of hours outside of town that they wanted to retire on. Life and circumstances have changed. Perhaps the grandkids are now born and they're 1,000 miles away and you don't want to be far away from them. Perhaps one of the spouses passed away. Perhaps both spouses passed away and now the kids have it and the kids are 1,000 miles away from the property. There's a million reasons why these people don't want these properties anymore. But compared to the houses, if you have a house, you can rent it out and you can bring cash flow. But if you have a house, there's an obviously use for the property. With a piece of land, if somebody inherits a piece of land, it costs some money. It costs property taxes, it costs a maintenance fees, it costs HOA fees sometimes, it costs whatever it is, assessment sometimes, and it just sits there and it does nothing other than pull money out of your pocket. So a lot of people wanting to buy the land, to build on it, to spend time on there, for appreciation, to build a house on there, to whatever they want to do with it. After 10, 20, 30 years, they realize, well, plans have changed. I don't need it anymore. Yet it just sits there and it just costs them money. So they get disillusioned with it. They're not emotionally attached to it. And as a result, they're willing to let it go at much, much steeper discounts than the house flippers. The house flippers, you got to sit to someone in the kitchen and explain to them why that $500,000 house should be sold to you for $300,000 so you can make money wholesaling it, or you can make money putting $100,000 in and still have a little margin after paying the realtor and the bank and everyone involved to make a profit on there. In land, and that homeowner sits in the kitchen and says like, what are you talking about? This house is fully functional. I've lived in here for 40 years. Yes, it needs to be renovated, but that doesn't cost $200,000. So give me $450 for my property. I mean, you know it is, right? Mm-hmm. And in the land space, that just much more frequently doesn't happen. The landowners are often like, have this garage sale mentality and they're like, I'm sick and tired of paying $3,000 a year in property taxes. It doesn't kill me to pay it, but I don't want to anymore. My kids don't want the land. My spouse doesn't want the land. I haven't seen it in 20 years. I don't know what it's worth. It hasn't gone up in value and I don't care it anymore. Can you just take it off my hands? And we're like, yes, absolutely. So as a result, we pick them up way cheaper. Typically, we pick up our pieces of land for 20 to 60 cents on the dollar. And then we turn around and then we do the exact same thing as the house flippers do, which is the house wholesalers do. We wholesale it, or something that you can't really do. Well, you can, but it's much more involved with houses. We sell it with seller financing. And if you do it the right way, when you do it with seller financing, you can even get as a down payment the same or more that you even have to pay to the seller. So you can even do that without using any of your money with double closings and things like that.